feel like you are stuck in the process of trying to get Social Security disability? Do you feel like it's taking forever and you just keep getting denied? Well, today's video is for you. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel for Georgia Advocate Partners. If we haven't met yet, my name is Jennifer Jarvis and I am a Social Security disability attorney and founder of Georgia Advocate Partners. On this channel, I have made it my mission to pull back the curtain and demystify what is going on at the Social Security Administration when you apply for disability benefits. I'm here to help you through the process so that you can understand what they are looking for so that you can have the best chance possible of having your application approved. As always, nothing here should be construed as legal advice. This is simply general information about the process, and certainly there is no attorney-client relationship established here. I do highly encourage you to seek out an attorney for your particular case. With that being said, on to the video. Today's topic is going to address how does the Social Security disability process fit into the federal branches of government, and how does the appeal process work within the administration. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask you to think back to your high school civics class and remember that there are three branches of government. There is the executive, there is the legislative, and there is the judicial branch. What you probably remember is that the executive branch is the president, the legislative branch is Congress, and the judicial branch is the court system. What you may not realize is that there's a lot more under the executive branch than just the president. For example, there are a whole lot of administrative agencies, such as the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Defense, and of course, the Social Security Administration. That means that when you start this process and you are applying for Social Security disability benefits, you are within the executive branch of the federal government. Now, Congress, of course, passed the laws to create the Social Security Administration, but it is up to the administration to take those laws and put together the process by which we are all functioning. Or this is 2025, not exactly functioning. And so for this process, we're going to ignore Congress because what we do with the Social Security applications is we generally are going to be dealing with the executive branch, and then it'll pop on over to the judicial branch. So I've made a handy dandy little diagram here, and we're going to work our way through this diagram. I've also made this diagram available on my Facebook page and also on Instagram. So when you apply for disability benefits, this is where you're going to start. This is within the administration. And the first go round is called the initial level. This is when you do your application. This is when you fill out a bunch of forms and tell Social Security, these are the doctors I see, these are the reasons I'm disabled. They're going to ask you about your past work, and they may send you out to a doctor. Then what's going to happen is all of your information is gathered together, and somebody at the Social Security Administration is going to, based on their 5 steps, which we'll have in a different video, determine whether or not you are actually disabled. If they deny your case, and keep in mind approximately 65% of cases are denied, then they're going to send you a denial letter. Do not get upset and throw that thing in the trash can. So what a lot of people do, and they don't appeal it. They just look at it and say, well, they said I wasn't disabled and somehow I'm supposed to be able to work. Remember, you have an appeal process. So you have 60 days to appeal that decision, at which point then you're going to move into what they call reconsideration. And that's because you are asking the administration to please reconsider your file. At reconsideration, you're going to file an appeal. You're going to fill out a bunch of paperwork. The Social Security Administration is going to get medical records. They may send you out to a doctor. And then somebody else is going to review your file and decide whether or not you are disabled. After they do that, they will then either approve your claim or they will send you another denial in the mail. At the reconsideration phase, they only approve approximately 20% of the applications. So that means if you were denied at the initial go-round, you were one of 65%. Not everybody appeals, but of those people who appeal and go into reconsideration, the administration denies another 80% of files. So if you have received 2 denials so far, that is actually pretty typical. And unfortunately, that is what happens to the vast majority of people who work through this process. If you get denied a second time at reconsideration, you again have 60 days to appeal. And I really cannot emphasize enough, do not miss your appeal deadlines. It makes a whole host of problems. So make sure you get your appeal in within those 60 days. Once that second appeal is in, you are asking for a rehearing, and you're going to be asking for a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. Now, notice on our diagram, when I talk about going in front of a judge, we are actually not within the executive branch. And you may be confused because I'm talking about a judge, and isn't that the judicial branch of government? But this is not a judge that's like your judge down at the local courthouse. This is what we call an administrative law judge. And that's because the rules that involve things like the Social Security Administration are considered to be administrative. And so this is an administrative law judge. So this judge is hired by the Social Security Administration to be an independent arbiter of your claim. They're supposed to be independent in their judgment, and I do think many of the judges are, but remember that ultimately Social Security is reviewing their decisions and keeping tabs on their award percentages. If a judge awards too many cases, then it is my understanding that the Social Security Administration will have a quiet conversation with that judge. Most judges are going to award approximately 40 to 50% of the cases that appear in front of them. There are some judges in this country who only have award rates of 10% or 20%. There are very few judges that may be awarding at the 60 to 70%. The vast majority are staying 40 to 50. So again, the first go round only approves 35%. The second go round only approves 20%. And the third go round for the average judge is going to be 40 to 50%. And I know that that feels really terrible. It is a huge mountain to have to climb. And that is one of the reasons that you will often hear, oh, you need to get an attorney for your Social Security case. And while it is not required, because this is an administrative process and you are not required to have an attorney, I do think for a lot of claimants, it's a confusing system. There's a lot of paperwork to be done. And attorneys who know the system, such as myself, are going to be in the best position possible to put your file together to give you the best chance that there is. Do we get denials? We do. And there are appeal processes beyond the judge. So let's take a look at that. If you do get denied in front of the judge, there is one more appeal level left within the administration, and that is called the Appeals Council. The Appeals Council is the final administrative body within the Social Security Administration, and they're going to review the judge's decision. Now, at this point, there is a change in the questions that are being asked. It is no longer whether or not you are or are not disabled. It is when the judge denied your case, did he follow the law, the rules, and the regulations that he needed to within the administration and within the government of the United States? Did he follow the law? If he followed the law and did everything he was supposed to do and still denied your case, then unfortunately that denial will stand. It is not the easiest burden because you could have, and most cases do, have information in them that tend to lend itself towards being disabled and information in them that tend towards being not disabled. The judge is the ultimate arbiter of fact. And if he looked at that information and decided that the scales tilted towards not disabled, even though we may not agree with his decision, if the evidence is there, then the decision stands. In the evidence to support a denial, then the Appeals Council will not change the decision. I will say that the remands from the Appeals Council, and by remand I mean sending it back to the judge, is extremely rare. The percentages right now are 10 to 11% of the cases that the Appeals Council review will actually be sent back to the judge. That means that about 90% of the cases that actually get appealed to the Appeals Council, because remember, not all of them do, approximately 90% of those cases are going to get a rubber stamp denial, becoming the final decision of the Social Security Administration and what we call the final decision of the commissioner. All right. So taking a look back at our chart here, you'll notice that we have the section that's covered by the administration in blue. So if you get denied by the Appeals Council, at that point you have exhausted what we call your administrative appeals, and there is nowhere else to go within the executive branch. From here, the only place for you to go is to appeal it again into the judicial branch. And you're going to now sue the Social Security Administration at what is called the lowest level of the federal system, and that is the district court level. So you are suing the administration because you say that they wrongly denied you benefits that you were entitled to. At this point, you need an attorney. There are 94 district courts within the United States. The number of district courts is going to vary depending on the size of your state and the population of your state. In my state of Georgia, there are three federal districts. There is the North Georgia District, there is the Middle Georgia District, and there is the Southern District. Which court you file in will depend on where you live. Um, then also within the federal district court, there are also judges that we call federal magistrate judges. And the magistrate judges normally do the bulk of the Social Security appeal work. Um, However, even in federal court, at this point, the question mark is the same. The legal framework is the same. It's not whether or not you are or not disabled. It's did the judge follow the rules when he found that you were not disabled? These cases are argued on paper. You will not be expected to go into the federal district court. There will not be oral arguments. Normally, in rare circumstances, there will be, but most of the time there is not. But basically, what will happen is your attorney will file what we call a complaint. And the complaint says all of the things that we contend the administration did wrong. Then the administration will file a response, and from there, your attorney will type up a brief citing federal law, citing the administration's rules, and talking about why you should have been awarded or why the judge was wrong when he denied your benefits. Of course, the government will have their counter arguments, and then your attorney would file a reply brief. At this point, it becomes another waiting game. The magistrate judge has three options in your. He can uphold the denial from the Social Security Administration, basically saying that even though we may disagree with what the judge said, he did follow the law and he's the final arbitrator, and so the decision stands. He may find error and send it back to the administration, at which point you're going to trickle your way back through the appeals council to get back to the judge for another hearing, or he may directly award benefits. This last one is extremely rare. The federal magistrate judges or the federal district court judges very, very rarely will actually directly order the administration to give you disability benefits. Generally, it's going to be two options. They're either going to uphold the denial or they're going to send it back for further findings. Um, if you do get sent back for further findings, unfortunately, what happens is, per the rules, you are supposed to be back in front of the same administrative law judge that denied you previously. Sometimes you get lucky and maybe get in front of a different judge, but according to the rules, you were supposed to be back in front of the same judge. I don't agree with that. I feel like if a judge has already denied your case once, why wouldn't he just deny it again? I think the idea is that if errors were found within his decision, they want the judge to go back and fix his errors. If you get denied a second time, so you've gone up to the administrative law judge, you got denied, it worked its way up to federal court, it was remanded, so it came back down and you got another denial. You can then appeal that and move forward back into the federal court system. If you get another remand, so now you're back at your third hearing in front of an administrative law judge, then at that point they are supposed to assign you someone new. So now that we're in the judicial branch, what happens if the federal district court denies your case? Really, at that point, you're basically finished. Your attorney can appeal to your circuit court, and there are 13 of those throughout the country. For the state of Georgia, that is the 11th Circuit. But circuit court appeals are discretionary only. And when I say discretionary, I mean they are at the discretion of the circuit court. They are only going to tend to hear cases where there is a specific question of law that may be unsettled or a specific point where it would really help if the upper level courts weighed in on the problem. And so, as you can imagine, there are very, very few cases that make it to the circuit courts of appeal. If you get denied there, the only place to go after that is the Supreme Court of the United States. And as you can imagine, very, very, very few Social Security cases make it up to the Supreme Court of the United States. Again, these are discretionary appeals, and it's going to really be an unsettled matter of law that we need the highest court in the land to weigh in on. Um, These last steps are very rare when you look at the millions of cases that work their way through the administration. The vast majority of them are going to get decided within those first three steps, either at the initial phase, the reconsideration phase, or at the hearing phase. Because at that point, the question of law changes. And unfortunately, even though we may disagree with the decision of the judge, if there is not a legal reason for us to be able to appeal it past the administrative law judge, then that decision stands. If you are looking for federal representation, I do represent my clients in the federal district courts. I'm licensed in front of the Northern District of Georgia as well as the Middle District of Georgia. If you are outside the state of Georgia and need a referral at the district level, I know many other attorneys who do this, and I would be happy to find somebody to refer you to. I would send you to my website at Georgia Advocate Partners, and if you just want to fill that out and send me a quick note, I will see if I can find someone for you. I hope this information was helpful for you and helps you understand kind of what the process looks like as you work your way through. As you can see from the diagram, this is a very lengthy process, especially here in early 2025. You are potentially looking at, for the first three phases, 2 to 3 years. So if you think that you need disability benefits, I would really highly encourage you to get started as soon as possible. As always, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It helps me to continue to make these videos for you. If you have any ideas for video or have a specific question that you would like answered, feel free to reach out to me on my website or on Facebook. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you the next time.